We're now with two of the moderators of the Fox debate, Chris Wallace and Bret Baier. There has been some pushback in the conservative media saying Fox being unfair to Trump. Certainly he has very strong partisans. I see that every time I write or talk about him. Some people think Fox, maybe they expected Fox to try to help these Republican candidates. How do you respond to that?
Well, I mean, I'll start. I think that we would have asked those questions to either side of the aisle. I think that we are the news side of the House. We ask news questions, and our job is not to be supportive of the party. It's not to also take down the party. It is to illuminate on these issues. I think if you look at the whole of that debate, you learned a lot about these candidates and their ability to deal with tough things. Because if they're going to get to the White House, they're going to face the Clinton machine. They're going to have some tough questions along the way.
I have to tell you, Howie, that in the course, and I know a lot of people question Fox from the outside, a lot of people love Fox from the outside, but in the course of these weeks of doing it, there was never a single mention of let's hurt the Republicans, let's help the Republicans. It was let's do our journalistic job to help the American people sort out this mess of a field of 17 people, draw distinctions, talk about their records, talk about things they agree about, things they disagree about, and that was the only thing that went into any of our consideration of how we were going to conduct this debate.
I can verify that, having sat in on some of these sessions as a reporter and observer. At the same time, lots of praise from the mainstream media, from liberal commentators at the way you all handled these questions, but as we said, some pushback from the conservative side. Were the expectations so high that, you're all pros, you've done this before, but that there was a little bit of nervousness about the stakes?
Yeah, I mean, listen, there's no doubt that going into this thing, it was getting more attention than any other thing that I think either of us had been a part of.
Absolutely.
Nowhere near the 5 primary debates I did last cycle, and it just had this own vibe, and you felt it. I mean, it was almost like a convention in Cleveland.
Bigger than a convention. I mean, look, 24 million people, the biggest non-sports event in the history of cable television. Now,
it was a sports event in a way.
I didn't anticipate that, but and not stakes in the sense. What my son said to me at one point, how many people do you think will watch? I said 10 million.
That was my guess.
And he said, what do you think that'll do for your career? I said, well, at age 67, if I do really well, I'll be able to keep my job and, I can stay in my house. I mean, but you're on that stage. The crowd was fabulous. I mean, they were so excited. The 10 guys get up there on the stage and, you feel like you're participating in, because you're not just announcing, you're participating in the Super Bowl. I mean, for us it was. I can't tell you what an adrenaline rush it was.
It is.
Final question. To the extent that Trump feels aggrieved, that he feels it was unfair, and that his partisans are making that known, as we've seen before with Donald Trump, does this help him if his folks feel the media are beating up on him?
So I've stopped predicting.
Yes.
Because I think in this cycle you can't. I think there have been a number of times where he's said things, has done things that people said, oh, this is it. And
the pundits have consistently been wrong.
And I will say that there is a chance that he turns this all around and says, we were on the attack, and his numbers go up. But I'm not predicting either way. I think that, our job was to press him.
Chris Wallace and Bret Baier, thanks very much for joining us. After the break, our panel weighs in on Fox's handling of the presidential primary debate, and later, Bill Hemmer and Martha MacCallum on the challenge of moderating the early debate.